You're probably on the practice field sometimes saying something to a player, and if you traced it back,
Yes.
it probably came from RC or your dad, maybe even your mom, right?
There's no question. You do. You take those with you, and the things that you've learned through time, and from my mom, my dad, my coaches, man, people, my peers, people that I've respected. I've mentioned this before. I mean, being around you, Jason, I mean, you were an influence to me. So many great people and great coaches were influences, and you take those lessons you've learned and you apply them to those guys, and you try to give them a story about it, man.
Yeah.
This is what it is, and you do the best you can to try to relate to them and give it to them in today's kind of setting world, and these guys nowadays, like, when you and I played, it was a totally different game, and it was much more of a marathon, and it really was about, man, you better dig in, and you're in for the long haul, right? The long haul, the hard. But we didn't have all this social media.
So how do you attack that as a leader of these guys and someone who's trying to guide them to be their best every day? How do you keep them locked in and focused on what they need to do?
Open up to the guy next to you. They understand what you're going through, and we can all help each other get through this. Like, don't hide it, don't shed it. It doesn't make you a lesser person or make you weak. It actually makes you stronger if you'll share with somebody about it. Get it off your chest.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody can help you. I think that's big.
As great a leader as you are, it seems like one of your best traits as a leader is to empower your coaches and the leaders of the team. You're saying, hey, you take care of it. You can figure it out. You're always putting them in those positions. Where does that come?
Well, man, don't you want ownership in this? I think I want everybody to really feel like, something that Coach Philbin used to tell us when we were position coaches. Hey, man, you're the head coach of your position group. And, that's a small thing, but he's right, And so, man, you're the OC, you're the head coach of that group. You are responsible for that group. And I know this, like, look, I'm an offensive coach, and I've got my own thoughts and things that I like to do, and I'll call for things, and I'm part of the preparation, all that. But yet game day, like, when I called it, I don't want somebody constantly telling me what to run. Like, you prepare a certain way, you're in a flow for a reason. And so I want you to do the job. I feel like I've got a pretty good feel of where guys are at and what they're going through. And, I feel like I've always had the ability to put myself in somebody else's shoes. I think that's important. It's like, man, just for a minute, whether you agree with it or not, or something's going on, put yourself in his shoes for a minute. And what are they going through? And have you been through something at least close to that or similar? And so I always try to do that. And it doesn't, it's not foolproof. It's not fireproof. It's not, but I do think it helps. And to have an understanding of that. And because if at least you're trying to understand what somebody's going through, and you give them your point of view and how you feel, like, look, I kind of got it. Now it bothers me, and here's why it bothers me. And you don't hold grudges, and I think you get the most out of guys. I think they can respect it. They may not like it, they can respect it, and they'll meet you where, you'll meet them where they're at. And I think they'll do the same to you.
When you become a coach, the ability to relate to players is critical. Because he's been in their cleats, Dan Campbell knows how to connect while still pushing the standard of excellence. Just like his coaches did for him, he sets the bar extremely high, not to break his players, but to make them the best they can be.
A ton, to be able to get all the different sides and perspectives on it. And really just to know to be around success, know what success looks like. And I'll be the first to say this. I say it all the time, man. I was fortunate to be drafted by the New York Giants, just as where my career went, because, Jim Fossil was an outstanding coach, God rest his soul. But Sean Payton, man, Sean Payton's the offensive coordinator, John Fox, defensive coordinator. But Sean Payton, I was with him as a player for 7 years, and then another 5 as a coach. So really, most of my NFL career, player and coach, has been under Sean Payton. That would have never happened had it not been for that first where I got drafted under really good coaches, being around those guys. And then I end up going to Dallas because of Sean Payton with Bill Parcells, which, my gosh, man, Bill's a legend. I learned so many lessons under Coach Parcells. And so I was fortunate, to be around successful people, successful coaches, because they know what success looks like. Bring in successful players, those guys that understand what it's supposed to look like, the way that things are done, the standards that you live by. And so man, I was fortunate to be part of all that. But it does. You see that, and then when you go to a place that was struggling like this, some really good coaches that I can't, Rod Marinelli was the head coach when I got here. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable coach. Mike Martz, greatest show on turf, was our offensive coordinator. I mean, it wasn't like we had these slouches. I mean, we had some real dudes and real coaches, but the culture was not set, and you try your best and it just doesn't always work out that way.